إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا إنه من يهده الله تعالى فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد يحيي ويميت وهو على كل شيء قدير وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله أرسله الله رحمة للعالمين فشرح به الصدور وأنار به العقول وفتح به أعينًا عميًا وآذانا صمًا وقلوبًا غلفًا اللهم اجزه عنا أفضل ما جزيت نبيًا عن أمته ورسولًا عن دعوته ورسالته وعلى اللهم على جميع الدرجات درجته واحشرنا في الآخرة تحت لوائه وزمرته اللهم لا تجعل الآن لقلوبنا حودا ترده إلا كتابك وسنة نبيك صلى الله عليه وسلم أفضل صلاة وأتم سلام وأعلاه اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه وأعنا على اتباع الحق والعمل به والصبر على الأذى في سبيله ابتغاء وجهك ورضاء مرضاتك يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله تعالى وخير الهدي هدي سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة في الدين بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار وما قل وكفى خير مما كثر وألهى وإنما توعدون لآت وما أنتم بمعجزين. Dear brothers and sisters, in today's khutbah I want to talk about a quality that Allah Azza wa Jal mentions in Surah Al-Imran. But when He talks about this quality, He talks about a group of people who possess this quality. But the beauty is, these people, when Allah talks about them, He mentions Jannah beforehand, and He mentions Jannah after. So these people have to possess some sort of quality that Allah Azza wa Jal gives them the glad tidings of Jannah beforehand. He's telling them, okay, you're going to Jannah, but then He assures them for the second time after He talks about them by giving them glad tidings for Jannah again. And that quality is a quality that Allah Azza wa Jal mentions in the Quran over 200 times. And that is the people of al-taqwa, al-muttaqeen, the people of taqwa, those who are God-fearing. And the implementation of these verses is something that every one of us can take today and start working on in Ramadan so that we can continue to be people of al-muttaqeen. Allah Azza wa Jal says in Surah Al-Imran, وَسَارِعُوا إِلَى مَغْفِرَةٍ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ وَجَنَّةٍ عَرْضُهَا السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ أُعِدَّتْ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. Listen to the words and the choice of words that Allah Azza wa Jal says. He says, وَسَارِعُوا. He says, run, rush, hassle. Run to the remembrance of your Lord. وَسَارِعُوا إِلَى مَغْفِرَةٍ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ. Run to the forgiveness of your Lord. وَجَنَّةٍ عَرْضُهَا السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. Usually we don't run for something unless we need it or unless we want it. We work hard, we do a lot for the house, for the business, for this and this and this. But Allah Azza wa Jal says, run, rush, hassle for my forgiveness. Because that is truly what we need. وَسَارِعُوا إِلَى مَغْفِرَةٍ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ. And what is this forgiveness gives you, entitles to you? جَنَّةٍ عَرْضُهَا السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. Heavens as vast as the heaven and the earth. أُعِدَّتْ. Who did Allah Azza wa Jal prepare these heavens for? أُعِدَّتْ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. He then goes on to tell us the qualities of those people who were just promised these heavens that are as vast as the heavens and earth. He says, الَّذِينَ يُنْفِقُونَ فِي السَّرَّاءِ وَالضَّرَّاءِ وَالْكَاظِمِينَ الْغَيْظَ وَالْعَافِينَ عَنِ النَّاسِ وَاللَّهُ يُحِبُّ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. The first quality, why are these people considered from al-muttaqeen? Why are they promised Jannah? Because وَالَّذِينَ يُنْفِقُونَ فِي السَّرَّاءِ وَالضَّرَّاءِ, those who spend in the time of ease and the time of hardship. But I want you to pay attention to the choice of words Allah Azza wa Jal chooses. If Allah Azza wa Jal has said, الَّذِينَ يُنْفِقُونَ أَمْوَالَهُم, those who spend their money in the time of ease and hardship, then our youth are not included in these verses. Then the people who don't have money are not included in these verses. Then the people who are homeless are excluded from these verses. But Allah Azza wa Jal includes us all by saying, الَّذِينَ يُنْفِقُونَ فِي السَّرَّاءِ وَالضَّرَّاءِ. Because in fact, giving doesn't necessarily have to be money. You can give your time. Our youth can give their time to help the community. Our youth can give their time to help someone in need. If you don't have the financial means to support or to pay in a financial manner to give Allah from your money, then you can definitely give Allah Azza wa Jal from your time. Right? الَّذِينَ يُنْفِقُونَ فِي السَّرَّاءِ وَالضَّرَّاءِ, in the time of ease, but in the time of hardship. So I have $10 in my pocket. I need it for my family. But someone else is in dire need of it. I'm going to give it, and Allah will give me more. I need that 10 minutes to study for the exam, and I'm not saying don't study for the exam. I need that 10 minutes to study for the exam, but this brother needs help. I'm going to help this brother and then go back to study for my exam. Allah Azza wa Jal will place barakah in your time, that you have time to help the brother or the sister or whoever it is, and at the same time have even more barakah in your time to study for the exam. Right? So the first quality, الَّذِينَ يُنْفِقُونَ فِي السَّرَّاءِ وَالضَّرَّاءِ. The second quality, you don't have the time, you don't have the money, you can definitely possess the next quality. وَالْكَاظِمِينَ الْغَيْظِ, those that swallow their anger. And قَاظِم الْغَيْظ is someone who swallows their anger that the person in front of them cannot tell they're angry. And if you want to know if you're capable of doing this or not, it's very simple. Go up to your manager, see if he's upset, if he's angry, and let's see if you can hold your anger in. We're all perfect at that at work. But can we swallow our anger with our family? Can we swallow our angers with our wife, with our kids? وَالْكَاظِمِينَ الْغَيْظِ, those who swallow their anger. And especially during Ramadan. My favorite phrase during Ramadan is, brother, I'm fasting, leave me alone. What does that mean, dear brothers and sisters? Ramadan is the month of rahmah, is the month of mercy. So how are we going to use this as an excuse to be angry? How are we going to tell Allah from ourselves we're angry because we're fasting when He says the quality of al-muttaqeen, al-kadhimin al-ghayz, those that swallow their anger? Right? So we have a tendency to be good with our coworkers, to be good with our friends outside, but we're hard and harsh with our family and our children. We need to start implying that. The wife added a little of extra salt to the food, we start going off. The kids are screaming, we start going off. No, this is not the quality of al-muttaqeen. Allah Azza wa Jal gives us these qualities so that we can possess them. وَالْكَاظِمِينَ الْغَيْظِ, and those that swallow their anger. And I'm going through this a little bit quickly, just in attendance to, in keeping in mind the time that we have, right? And Allah Azza wa Jal says, وَالْعَافِينَ عَنِ النَّاسِ. That's the third quality. So the first, spend in the time of ease and hardship. Second, they swallow their anger, which we can all definitely do. Third, وَالْعَافِينَ عَنِ النَّاسِ, and those that willingly let go. Allah Azza wa Jal doesn't say, وَالْغَافِرِينَ لِلنَّاسِ. He says those that forgive. Afu is to lovingly let go. Maghfirah is to go to someone and tell them, I forgive you, or they come to you asking for forgiveness. So the quality of al-muttaqeen is they willingly and lovingly let go for their brothers and sisters because they want Allah Azza wa Jal to forgive them. It's because they want Allah Azza wa Jal to enter them into their Jannah. وَالْعَافِينَ عَنِ النَّاسِ, right? Those who willingly let go. And I understand that this brother hurt you, or this sister hurt you, or this family member talked bad at you, or this person insulted you. But the question is your ego, is that anger worth more? Or is the promise of Allah Azza wa Jal of Jannat al-Firdaus, of those for the muttaqeen, worth more? And the perfect example is from the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Hassan radiallahu an, he had a slave. And that slave was pouring him a drink. And as he was pouring the drink, he spilled some on Hassan, radiallahu anhu. So Hassan became angry. So what did the slave do? He says, وَالْكَاظِمِينَ الْغَيْظِ. Hassan radiallahu anhu immediately swallows her anger, that the slave himself says, I couldn't tell that Hassan was upset at me anymore. And the slave says, وَالْعَافِينَ عَنِ النَّاسِ. Hassan radiallahu anhu says, I've forgiven you. I've let it go. And then the slave concludes with the rest of the verse. And he says, وَاللَّهُ يُحِبُّ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. And Allah loves those that excel. What would you think Hassan would do? This is his slave. This is someone who serves them. Right? He says, go, you are a free man. This is how we implement the verses of Allah Azza wa Jal. The companions give us the example and the guidance into it. And one of the biggest stories, if this is so little, think of a harder situation. What more harder situation? The Hadithatul Ifk. When al-Mu'mineen was attacked, right, and slandered, and Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu was giving an allowance to the man who was slandering al-Mu'mineen. And an attack on al-Mu'mineen is attack on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's an attack on the entire ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And what was Abu Bakr's punishment for him? He said, I will withhold my allowance. And when the verses of Allah Azza wa Jal came down instantly, Allah says, وَلْيَعْفُوا وَلْيَصْفَحُوا أَلَا يُحِبُّونَ أَن يَغْفِرَ اللَّهُ لَهُمْ. They should let go and turn the page. Would they not love for Allah Azza wa Jal to forgive them? What did Abu Bakr say? He continued the allowance. He weighed the scales. He put his ego on one side of the scale, and he put the Jannah and Allah Azza wa Jal's verses on the other side. And clearly he understood that one side overturned the other and weighed more for him and meant more in the long term. Live 50, 100, 950 years, you're dying. You're meeting Allah Azza wa Jal, and there's heaven or hell. So which side would you want to be on? And in the second half of the khutbah, we'll talk about a couple more qualities of al-muttaqeen that Allah Azza wa Jalla mentions, and see if we can possess them ourselves. قولوا قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله وكفى وصلاة وسلام على نبيه الذي اصطفى وعلى آله وأزواجه أمهات المسلمين أهل الصفا والوفا. So briefly, the first quality, الذين ينفقون في السراء والضراء, those that spend in the time of ease and the time of hardship. والكاظمين الغيظ, those that swallow their anger. والعافين عن الناس, those that willingly let go for their brothers and sisters. والله يحب المحسنين, Allah loves those that excel. You would think Allah Azza wa Jal would go on to name some of the most amazing qualities that those muttaqeen possess, right? These people are great. They're doing everything perfect. But the truth is, dear brothers and sisters, they're humans. They're not prophets, they're not angels. So they make mistakes. Allah Azza wa Jal says, وَالَّذِينَ إِذَا فَعَلُوا فَاحِشَةً أَوْ ظَلَمُوا أَنفُسَهُمْ ذَكَرُوا اللَّهَ فَاسْتَغْفَرُوا لِذُنُوبِهِمْ. And those who do a mistake, a sin, or transgress against himself. How is this the muttaqeen? Like, how are these people muttaqeen? They are committing sins. How is Allah going to mention them as the muttaqeen? The truth is, Allah Azza wa Jal says why they are muttaqeen, because when they commit a sin, when they transgress against themselves, ذَكَرُوا اللَّهَ فَاسْتَغْفَرُوا لِذُنُوبِهِمْ. They remembered Allah, right? And this is why they are from the muttaqeen. There is no ثُمَّ استغفروا لذنوبهم. There is no واستغفروا لذنوبهم. There is no pause in between remembering Allah Azza wa Jal and instantly asking for forgiveness. ذكروا الله فاستغفروا لذنوبهم. This is why they are from muttaqeen. They are committing the sin, they remember Allah Azza wa Jal, they stop the sin instantly. وَلَمْ يُسِرُّوا عَلَى مَا فَعَلُوا. They stop it instantly and they immediately ask Allah Azza wa Jal for forgiveness. And dear brothers and sisters, what better game for shaitan to play than the one when you commit the sin and he comes to you and you're about to ask Allah Azza wa Jal for forgiveness and he tells you, have you no shame? How dare you go talk to Allah Azza wa Jal and ask him for forgiveness when you just committed the sin. But the truth is, who are you going to listen to? Are you going to listen to the one who has created you? Or are you going to listen to the shaitan? Are you going to listen to the one who told you, come back to me and I will welcome you. Come back to me, ask him for forgiveness and I will forgive you. And this is the quality of the muttaqeen. They don't let the shaitan tell them that. Immediately they remember Allah in the sin. And immediately they ask Allah Azza wa Jal forgiveness. وَالَّذِينَ إِذَا فَعَلُوا فَاحِشَةً أَوْ ظَلَمُوا أَنفُسَهُمْ ذكروا الله فاستغفروا لذنوبهم ومن يغفر الذنوب إلا الله. They know who forgives the sins, it's only Allah. ولم يسروا على ما فعلوا وهم يعلمون. And they do not persist in the sins. Right? And then Allah Azza wa Jalla says, goes, أولئك لهم مغفرة من ربهم وجنة عرضها السماوات والأرض أعدت للمتقين. Right? He concludes this story, he concludes the quality. We said Jannah mentioned before them, the glad tidings of Jannah, and then the glad tidings of Jannah, again the assurance. So during Ramadan is a time of perfection to work on these qualities and be of those of the muttaqeen. It is the time where the shaitans are chained, and it's only the evil of ourselves that possesses us. So if we can overcome ourselves during Ramadan, work on being from those who spend in time and hardship and ease, be from those that swallow our anger, have afu. If we do nothing else, have afu to our brothers and sisters. Right? Have afu, have that mercy. And eventually we will excel in the worship of Allah Azza wa Jal, and we will ask Him for His forgiveness. I ask Allah Azza wa Jal to make us from those that hear the words and do by them. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن عافيت وتولنا فيمن توليت وبارك اللهم لنا فيما أعطيت وقنا واصرف عنا شر ما قضيت فإنك تقضي بالحق ولا يقضى عليك اللهم اجعل القرآن العظيم ربيع قلوبنا ونور صدورنا وذهابا لغمومنا وهمومنا اللهم علمنا منه ما جهلناه وذكرنا منه ما نسيناه ووفقنا يا ربنا لفهم معناه اللهم تقبل صيامنا وقيامنا وركوعنا وسجودنا واختم اللهم بالصالحات أعمالنا عباد الله إن الله أمركم بأمر بدأ به بنفسه وثنى بملائكته القدس وثلث بكم فقال وما أعز من قائل قال عباد الله من الإنس والجن إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد في الأولين وصل على سيدنا محمد في الآخرين وصل على سيدنا محمد في الملأ الأعلى إلى يوم الدين عباد الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون اذكروا الله العظيم يذكركم واشكروه يزدكم وأقم الصلاة